Nueva York, se oye mi voz, se oye la rumba, se oye el tambor desde el África hasta Nueva York, se oye mi voz, se oye la rumba, se oye el tambor. Hoy quiero cantar bien alto y claro a todos mis santos, a los guerreros del pasado. El sonido eterno del tambor, la esencia misma del folclor, que desde muy lejos llegó y entre nosotros se quedó. Es la conga, el güiro y el bongo, la clave, el quinto y el 3-2. Es el legado que dejó Madre África. Le agradezco a mis ancestros por el ritmo que llevo por dentro. Yo tengo de Congo, de Yoruba y Bantú, y llevo la herencia de los viejos soneros. Hoy quiero cantar bien alto y claro, porque soy mestizo y que se oiga desde el África hasta Nueva York. Desde el África hasta Nueva York, se oye mi voz, se oye la rumba, se oye el tambor. Desde el África hasta Nueva York, se oye mi voz. Desde el África vinieron y entre nosotros quedaron. Desde el África hasta Nueva York, se oye mi voz. Yo quiero que escuches mi canto, que todo sea alegría, no quiero llanto. Desde el África hasta Nueva York, no quiero llanto, se oye mi voz. Yo soy Yoruba, Congo, Carabalí, yo soy de allá y yo soy de aquí. Agua que me quemo. Mi canto tiene rumba y son. Lo traigo, ¿de dónde lo traigo? Del África, Nueva York. Mi canto viene del alma. Tiene rumba y son. Lo traigo y lo llevo conmigo aquí. Del África, Nueva York. Mi canto es para ti nada más. Tiene rumba y son. Lo traigo y ya me lo llevo. Del África, Nueva York. Desde el África hasta Nueva York. Pablo Guatusi en la casa. Somos iguales, los hombres y los animales. Y aunque muchos no lo crean y no se diga en la calle, por dentro todas las casas están hechas de lo mismo. ¿Para qué seguir peleando? ¿Para qué tanto egoísmo? Ha llegado el tiempo de reflexionar, de echar la mentira y sacar la maldad, sácala de adentro. Ha llegado el tiempo de reflexionar, de echar la mentira y nunca mirar para atrás. Anda en la calle, que tiene su movimiento
Hello, Americas. Hello again. How are you? Welcome again to your daily Elena doses. I know, favorite moment of the day, of the week. Great news for you because you're a delegate of the CEO Summit. You're going to see me every single day from here to the Saturday. I know, lucky you. But especially welcome to your My Role in IR session. I know, exciting. Especially because today we have been learning so much about leading the different areas. And me as a general manager, I really wanted to make sure that this particular session was included. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check all the other sessions, this one is the one like to go right now. This one is important because this role can also be named How to Capitalize This Summit. Yay, I know, amazing. Capitalize in what sense? Well, even though this summit was free, yeah, it still requires an investment from your side. It requires an investment of your time or your attention. You could be like doing 100 million things more right now. Some of you probably are listening to this like a podcast and are still doing a lot of things. Never mind. But this one, like I told you, this one is the session about like if you're already investing your time into coming to the sessions of the CEO Summit, what are some of the things or some of the actions that you can be taking to take the most out of this space? So this is my ISEC resume, a little bit of what I have been doing in the organization. I was a team member, team leader of OGB, and later on I became a VP OGB, where my OGB people. For ISEC in La Laguna, Mexico. Then I was an EST for ISEC in Costa Rica and ISEC in Poland. I was an MCVP OGB and the MCP of ISEC in Guatemala, my Guatencanta. And I will be the regional manager for Entity Develop 2021. So yeah, feel free to approach me at any moment. And here's also like some random facts because I want us to get to know a little bit better. So I personally feel that the 13 is my lucky number. I was born on a 13. A number that I can remember really easily, probably because it's my birthday, but nevertheless, and which is why it's also in my Instagram. So if you want it, you can check it. This day I post mostly screenshots about my meetings, but eventually I also post cool stuff, so you can go there. And right now, I have like a little survey for you. So if the showcasing team can help me a little bit, putting the link of in the YouTube comments, because here I wanted like to get the real actions in the real time. Like who about you guys that are watching this session already have their first IR meeting as an LCP? Let me just give you like a little bit more disclaimers on why this session is so important while we're waiting for the answers. So when I was an MCVP OEV, I remember my first regional touch point was an OP Summit. And in that OP Summit, I was super nervous because I didn't know like how to arrange an IR meeting on an MC level. I was afraid, I was having doubts. And I remember I approached the regional office at that moment and I told him like, dude, I'm full going in panic mode. And they told me like, okay, pay attention to our session on IR and later on you can tell me if you still have doubts. So this session in my OP Summit was a huge help because it really like helped me to put in order like what were the things that I had to talk to, how could I prepare for that one meeting. And later on, once I was having already my meetings, I already have a more idea like, okay, what do I need to take out of this meeting? See, so let's wait a little bit more for more answers. I see somebody that put it at one of the, wait, what? Okay, not yet. Awesome, soon, yay, people. Awesome, not yet. Okay, well, you will have it soon. Now let's go to the next question. Okay, who here believes that looks or how you look or if you're whether you're handsome or not, but what matters really are the feelings. But if looks are important in IR. Yes, Queen. Okay, 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 yeah. Wait, what? Hell no. Okay, really diverse kind of like answers. Okay, but now I have an even trickier question. Okay, who here believe that the regua is important in order to do IR? So you know, like whether you're a 0 or a 6, whether you like people from your same sex or other sex, it is okay. That was also like an easy one as well. What else do the people believe? LOL, okay, I don't know, I'm not sure. Great. Okay. And for the next question, we don't have like any like right answer or wrong answer. I just really want like to hear your insight. So, how often should you meet your IR partners? Let's see, should I meet them like once a month or once a week or once a year? Once a month, okay. Wow, okay. Something really cool is that you can vote for your favorite answers and you can, but if every time you vote, you can like push them further up or down. We have monthly, every 2 weeks, only two. I don't know if it's like 2 years or 2 times, but we have the number two over there. Okay, so far I think that the one that is winning is once a month. That's the vibe that I'm getting. Okay, we will go with like once a month. Like I told you, there is no like wrong or right answer. I just really wanted to understand like what were your thoughts on that. So why are we talking specifically about how to do IR from an LCP perspective? Well, first of all, because according to ISEC internal policies, nobody can make a change with itself. According to the APIB, I don't really like know how to pronounce the whole name. And the second of all is because now that you are an LCP, you are no longer back office or front office. That's a little bit tricky. So if I used to be like VP or GB or a member of IGT or something like that, now that I'm LCP, I really need to take my IR from a holistic perspective and how to include the rest of the areas. And if I come from a back office background and I never went to an IR meeting, then now in this session, I need to really understand like how to take that conversation. Something that is tricky about the LCP is that yes, like you are not going to be in most of the IR meetings that are going to happen between your partners and your entity, but you still need to ensure that IR is happening. But also, we are talking about IR because right now, in the context of COVID-19, we as ISACers are the first line of communication between a whole other country and our partners or our EPs. So, guys, if I am part of, I don't know, ISEC in Argentina, nobody knows better what's happening with, I don't know, Bolivia and the flights and the border policies over there than an ISACer from Bolivia. So in order, if I want to like tell people like you should go over there, I need to have like a really strong and a really like honest conversation with my IR partners. I need to know what was happening in this other place because yeah, I was telling like to, I don't know, to all my members that I have or the different teams that I have. And I said, we are doing something that is really sensitive that is sending people abroad. Like that's a person that's alive, that's a human being with a history and a family and a WhatsApp number and an Instagram account. And that's a human being that we send to another country. In the context of the pandemic, this becomes even way more riskier, which is why we need to be like even more mindful and even more responsible with where are we sending who or why. And this is a picture that I really, really like. And this is something that I wanted to stop at like for a couple of minutes. So this is a picture of me, like you can see because of my super like big smile. And Anna Milena, shout out to Anna. Anna is currently an MCVP ICX, if I'm not mistaken, in ISEC in the Netherlands. And this is a picture that we took last year when we were both in IC India. I was going as the MCP of ISEC in Guatemala. She was going as the MCVP ICX of ISEC in Spain. So go to Europe, people. That's like the end of this moral of the story. Anyways, and this picture means a lot to me personally because this was the first time that we met in person. You see, Aina and I had known each other for about like 3 years or something because we were IR partners when we were VPs. So she was the VP IGV of ISEC in Popayán, Colombia. Shout out to Colombia. And I was the LCVP OGV of ISEC in Laguna in Mexico. And I remember that she was like my best online friend. Like we would talk, if not daily, at least I can tell you like 100% sure we would talk once a week. I would have the numbers of her members in my cell phone. I knew who was TL, I knew who was a member, I knew who was studying what, all that kind of stuff. I was constantly asking her for videos from my entity and she was like empowering my members. And I don't know, I remember when I was reviewing the performance of my member, she will knew like which one of my members answered soon, which one one doesn't. You know, like who was dating who. We were like really connected. And I remember that this cooperation was so good that it also went on to the next year. We started receiving in my LC people from her city, and that meant a lot. I still have my t-shirt from Isaac in Popayan. It's an extra large. I am extra small, but it still have a lot of sentimental value, so I will never throw it up. But yeah, this is one of the things that I believe that are truly the magic of Isaac. We don't really know when we will meet that support system that we have. And I know that right now it might be a little bit tricky because we are having like these spaces virtually, but believe me guys, one day, we don't know where, we don't know how, but you could meet like some of the people that are already in this summit. So be nice to everybody because you never know. But yeah, this is one of the things that most of our friendship was developed online, and that's something that right now COVID cannot change. So that's something like to keep on. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the misconceptions of IR. So some of the most common misconception is that I only have to do IR with my LCP's buddies. So I think that you're really cool and really funny. So let's make IR, but we don't have like anything in common. Our timeline is completely different. We don't even run the same programs, but whatever. Second of all, taking a screenshot of our meeting and never aligning our processes counts as an IR meeting. That's not an IR meeting, that's a chisme/gossiping meeting, and you guys know it. Third one, cool hashtags and names are the most important part of a cooperation. So we already like love Mexilombia and I don't know, Perulombia, and I can only think of Lombias, but you know what I mean. And the last one, and this one is a huge one, is that I don't need a routine for IR. This is a huge misconception. Why do you need an IR? Because IR should be a priority and you should allocate time to it. Aha. This one is going to be also a huge part of your JV. But you may be wondering, like, Elena, but where exactly does IR fit into my JV? See, I will even put the whole slide just like to make sure that we are making like a pause here to think like, okay, where does it go? So if you already saw a nano session of my role recipe, if you haven't, go check it, it's really good. We were talking a little bit about how, yeah, this is the traditional, like, I don't know, the visual way in which we understand the role of the LCP or the MCP that is divided into lead, manage, represent. And I want to tell you guys that IR is like somewhere over here. Why over there? Okay, well, first of all, it's a part of the represent because you are the face of your LC. Okay, so if somebody thinks like that LC is so bad, they don't care about the quality, they're thinking about you. If they're thinking like that LC never replies, they're thinking about you. What else? That LC like, I don't know, I remember like that LC is like, I don't know, so clueless. They don't even know like when are the trainees arriving, or they don't know like what kind of opportunities they're opening, or they're opening opportunities that doesn't really make sense. Again, they're thinking about you. And you really need to have like in those IR meetings, you are the one like speaking up for your entity. You are the one explaining like, why am I so good that you need to work with me? What are the things that you're gonna win by working up with me? And that we're gonna take it really seriously, and I'm gonna give you a place. But we also like need to think in a win-win situation. It's like a lot of like discussions, and it's really deep and it's really cool. But it's also a lot of manage. Like I told you, like most of your IR meetings are going to happen between your LCBP's operations and your partners. So you may not be in most of the IR meetings that are going to happen within that 20 days. Yes, you can have IR meetings of LCPs, but you still need to make sure that the information is downscaling. So again, like managing, how do I get those results and those outputs and those meetings without me having to like virtually or physically be in those meetings? That's when it gets really, really tricky and really cool. Okay, so something that I would like to, I didn't put in the misconception side, but I really like to emphasize on it, is that IR is not only a matter of front office. So yeah, let's just the GTs and GVs to get together so they can talk about about IR. No, guys, I mean, you can innovate so much in so many ways by including your back office into this conversation. So to give you like a few examples, first of all, I remember when I was MCVP of GB that Isaac in Mexico did one economic financial investment in Isaac in Guatemala. And I remember that that cooperation for us was like key. And we were doing like investment in each other. I went to a conference of Isaac in Mexico. Felipe, who is right now RM with me, he went to Guatemala one time as chairing. We were talking a lot. We were trying like to our members to get to talk to know each other and discuss and all that kind of stuff. Also, okay, let's talk about like a team perspective. So for example, in recruitment, you can go for those profiles that had returnees. So if I want to push that year, like, I don't know, cooperations with Panama, I can make sure that I having members that have already took their exchange in ISEC in Panama. That's an example. And why does marketing need to be also be on board on IR? Guys, because marketing cannot promote something that they don't know. So marketing should know, as well as the operations, what is the things that we are selling and that we're promoting, what are the benefits, where this is sound like super basic, but it's not. Where is the city like geographically be? Because I know that it's called Santa Maria, Brazil, but where in the map is Santa Maria, Brazil? Let's start by that. Like, what's the weather? Where, like, I don't know, that kind of stuff. And here's like something really cool, and I don't know if you have thought about this, but guys, even like, okay, before COVID-19, and somehow still we do it, America does at least 80% of their exchange within the region. What does it mean? It means that most likely your main IR partner is watching this very same video right now. Like he is somewhere. Your make operation, the one that if it falls down, your whole numbers is also fall down, and your LCC, I don't know, could be like really struggling. It's in the WhatsApp group. It's, I don't know, sharing the same Insta stories. It's like somewhere over there. And I know, shocking. I love that emoji, so that's why I put it over there. It's really cute. Anyways, so to take a little bit of the points that Fisha was discussing in her supply and demand session, we were talking about like, yeah, supply and demand. So this is like an economic concept, and it's really cool and it's really interesting, and you can check it on Wikipedia. But it's basically about like, I need to acknowledge how many does the market offer of something, and I need to know like how much the market is requesting for something. To give you like a really simple example, so I'm Mexican, so I'm going to talk about tacos. If I put like a lot of tacos out there, but a lot of people are vegetarians, it doesn't matter how many tacos do I sell, people are not going to buy them. And let's just try the other way. If I really like only eat tacos and that's like my only diet, but nobody offers them, then I mean, it makes way more sense that I'm still looking for other options of what to eat. See, stereotypes. But then again, okay, in supply and demand, what are the three main aspects that Fisha was already mentioned us in her leading GTE session? The first one is communication. So when are we not going to talk? What are we not going to talk about? Even how are we going to talk? So I know Americas, most of us speak Spanish, Portuguese is kind of like similar, we understand English. I mean, it's really, really common. But even within Americas, we have like huge cultural differences, and we are a super diverse region. So from my personal perspective, I remember I was as MCP, I have an MCVP that was from Panama. Shout out to Dan. And I remember that he was like super straightforward from my perspective, but that was like simple culturally. But I remember that sometimes I was like, okay, is he being like honest or rude? Am I in trouble? Is he angry with me? So we need to establish that. Like, when can I, even that, when can I speak to you? Because we're not likely we're going to have a time difference. So which one is an appropriate hour to talk to you and which one is not? Second one, what is the profile required? Again, the tacos example. Do I have marketing profiles and you need IT? Do you have IT? Do we all have IT, or how is this gonna work? And the third thing that you should really keep into account is the timeline. Again, talking from my personal experience, when I become an MC abroad, something that really shocked me, and it shouldn't have because it's super normal, it was the university timeline was different. I know, shocking. Like universities, they have like different dates from going on to vacation. And what does that mean? It's because if the university timeline is different, most likely in the entity, the realization peak is going to be different. So you may not need like all that kind of, all my profiles, you're going to not need it in the same time, depending on like when vacations start or where graduations are starting, or I don't know, like all that kind of stuff. And another two concepts that I would really like to bring up to the table are metrics and data. So I really trust and I really believe that leaders and LCPs and MCPs should take decisions following their heart or their guts or their instinct or whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you also need data. Okay, you need to check the data, even like for just your instinct to tell you like, yeah, this way or not this other way. You need something to read and to make a reference on like where should you go. So make sure that you are getting your data, but also data that you understand and that you can read. Guys, if it's the most complicated Excel in the world and you get it every month, but you don't know how to read it, it's pretty useless. And the metrics in the sense that not all the metrics are equally important during the whole year. So for example, maybe opens are really, or the way that I'm used to be, opens are really important at the beginning of my semester, but at the end of my semester, what I need are realization. That could be something. So if you are really confused still and you're still calling loves and like, Elena, I don't know like what questions should I have or not, this is something for you. So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. You can like write on your notebook and you can put some in the chat, I will read them. But I want you to like answer these questions. So what profiles do you have in your entity? What profiles does your partners need? Whether, yeah, let's start with, do I have an incoming program? Do I have an outgoing program? When do I need as EPs or trainees? When will I open my opportunities? How, this is really crucial. How are my partners doing in GB conditions? I mean, are they following? They don't care. Are they going to take care of my APs or they don't? Where do I track my data or the data about my entity? And where will I track the data of my partners? So let's give you like 3 minutes. Think about those questions. If you have just realized that you have no idea of how to answer those questions, mark those, because later on, I want you to like really go down and answer your VPs about that. So let's give you 3 minutes. I don't know if I can have like background music. If I can, that would be really cool. If I can, that's okay. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I hope that these questions really help you. I was just saying, like, you can imagine that you're in Slumdog Millionaire and you have like one chance to call a friend. This is when you call, I don't know, your VP and you start asking, like, hey, I need help with this particular question. But anyways, here's like a pro tip, like a really pro, if you want to like really dominate IR, do your homework. Research the people and the entities that you want to talk to. Really stalk them. I think that's the wonderful thing about living in the social media times. You can like go for them, ask them, look for the members on Instagram. Is they the people that I really want to work with? And of course, stalk them, especially on expat. That's where the magic happens. So I would like to say that doing IR is a little bit like those medieval marriages that we used to like to learn about. You kind of like bring the two entities together and you start negotiating like, okay, I have one goat. How many profiles do you have? How many approvals do we need? Do I also need to put like a castle in between, that kind of stuff? And then once the marriage is already like concrete and we already decided that we're going to be IR partners, we need to create a follow-up. Awesome. So here's what you should do previously to this summit. But if you haven't done it previously, you can start doing it right now. You can do it today and start like writing to your IR partners or possible IR partners during the day. First of all, examine conversion rates, historic data, GV conditions, and GT breakdowns. I'm gonna like go in deep. GV conditions, people, you need to make sure that you're gonna send your EPs to a safe place, and you need to make sure that our entity has a plan. So maybe I would like really consider you, if you really want to work with an entity that hasn't fully worked with or feel that GB conditions, really start to think about the risk that I may bring to you. And the GT background. So I know that the work fields, this is kind of new, but you need to like to really examine. It's not only about having a goal of GT, it's like when this goal needs to happen. Second of all, talk to your MC. Are we trying to push for something specific at an entity level? So your MCs are the expert. Your MC are the people that, yeah, I know you know your entity better, but the MC is the one that they like work 8 hours a day, sometimes even more hours, like trying to figure it out, like the strategics they're seeing, like they're having calls with regional office every month, something like that. And they really understand like where is the situation going forward. So you can go and talk to them and tell them like, okay, which one are the entities that I should like start looking for. Third, schedule your meetings. If you haven't done it, start writing on WhatsApp to those LCPs like, hey, where can you meet? When can we do it? We were talking about like how since this conference is having like in a virtual space, we need to begin very more intentional. So can I have 15 minutes with you, 30 minutes with you? I really want to talk about IR. And for one, practice what you're gonna say, because practice makes perfect. So during the meeting, be honest. Don't try like to overpromise. Don't feel small. That's something that for certain group of entities, I'm watching to you specifically. Don't get to the meeting all like feeling shy and like, I don't know if that person is going to want to IR with me. No, be full of yourself. You are the LCP, you know your entity and your entity is great and you're representing every member of your entity. So get there full of confidence and tell them about your entity, tell them about what is happening and how your country is managing COVID. Second of all, answer these questions. How will we ensure that our operations are meeting? How are we going to realize if our operations are not meeting? Which will be our communication channel? Will it be WhatsApp? It's going to be Slack? It's going to be Facebook? I don't know. Where we will keep the output of all our meetings, and then we will set a routine. So how often do we need to meet? We were seeing at the beginning of the session that most people were saying like, oh yeah, once a month is good. So really see it like, okay, it's once a month good. Personally, what I used to do, what I will ask my IR partners, like, how often do you want to meet? Some people will say me like, okay, every 2 weeks. Some people will say me once a month. I will kind of like fix my schedule according to what they were saying to me. And the fourth one, showcase, because people need to feel emotionally engaged and your members need to feel like that a specific partnership is relevant for your entity and they need like, yeah, to have it that in their ideas and in their brains, but also in their heart. So showcase a lot, make sure that you're sharing what are you doing and when are you meeting and all that kind of stuff. So personally, this is like one of my personal insights in the whole IR situation. So having IR meetings is a delicate meet between being proud and humble. Yes, we are Americas, we are the best. We know what we're doing, but I also cannot do even one exchange if I'm not working with you. So we really need to be conscious of that. And everybody is struggling to do IR under the COVID-19 situation. We are all in the same boat. So yes, people, you are not better than anybody. You all need each other and you can all work within each other if there's something that you really put your mind on. In that sense, proud and being humble. Proud because you also need to make sure that you go to every IR meeting and you're going to get out with the conditions and the profiles and I don't know, the EPs that your entity needs to achieve their goals because your entity deserves to achieve their goals. And also, I really want to make sure that some of you are aware that under the current situation, some of you may have to work with MCs directly. This is very common. When I was MCVP in ISEC in Guatemala, I would talk to the VPs, IGV from other entities, and it was super cool and it was super chill. And that particular partnership provided a lot of value for me as an MCVP OGV, but also to the LCVPs, because we could make like other kind of investment, I don't know, the way that it was working, the communication was super fast. So keep in mind that maybe that's something that you can start doing. So what to do after the meeting? Okay, so make sure that you're tracking your routine. Don't let it just like happen because it will happen like sometime, some point in the world. And also make sure that you're onboarding your EV, your whole EV, back office and front office. Some of the things that I want you like to keep in mind, we are something really hard and really tough. We are making exchanges in a situation where borders are being literally closed. So if you want to work with another entity, make sure that it's people that you trust. If it's these people that you say like, okay, I can send this person and we are in the middle of a global pandemic and I will send this EP and I know that the other entity will take care of that person, then go for it. But if you are not 100% sure about this may working, you can also take a step back. That's perfectly okay. And second one, some of the best partnerships that we have within the region are the most committed one, but also some of the most innovative ones. So for example, when I was in IPM, it was really shocking for me, but also really cool to see that some of the best partnership was between these two countries that I wouldn't normally assume that they were working together, like Isaac in, if I'm not mistaken, in Ukraine and Germany. I remember that I was thinking about how did that happen, but it was great, it was working, it was purposeful. So don't be scared. Maybe try like one new partnership that this is the moment to try new stuff, because the world is not going to be the way it was a few months ago. So this is the time when you can try something new. And there's always something that you can learn if you're willing to. So I don't care if you are the best LC in your entity. If you put your mind on it, you can learn something from every single LCP in this conference. And that wouldn't that be great? Awesome. So now we're going to have a small working time. For these working times, there are 4 things that I want you to do. I want you to start setting meetings if you haven't set any yet. I want you to, if you already start like having meetings, or if you're starting to schedule meetings, please make sure that you are using these like 5 minutes that I'm going to give you to prepare your space or your tool or whatever you're going to put the output. I want you to write questions that you want to like do or to ask, yeah, to your IR partners or to your BPD for going to those meetings. And I also want, if you already have your IR meetings and you're awesome and you're like super nerdy and super prepared, you can use this time to start sending material. So you can start sending outputs or the booklets or all that kind of stuff. And then a huge disclaimer is that this is going to be a really short working time. So this is not the time to start having IR meetings per se. This is the time to start scheduling. So now Showcaser Media, we can put music again, please. Great. So I hope that this working time was useful for you. If you're watching this session later on, make sure that you still schedule your meetings. But I also want to make a small information. So tomorrow night, we're going to have our GCP fair with 5 amazing LCPs from the region. So make sure that you stay like all till that. It's going to be after agenda, but you can like go in and you can check like more GCPs specifically on IR. So that's really cool. And one of like that last message that I really want to share with you is that COVID-19 is currently changing like the flights that are available, the schedules. Many like, I don't know, airplanes, no, like flight companies, I don't know what's the word. But a lot of companies are in danger of shutting down. COVID-19 is also changing a lot of like the visa requirement and this border status. We know that what's changing like from one week on another, whether the country is open or not. And therefore COVID-19 is also changing the way that we do supply and demand. So a lot of the historic data is not going to make a lot of sense, or the data from last year is going to make sense right now. So we need to start to recreate or reimagine how, yeah, that's the word, reimagine how are we going to do supply and demand. Again, my advice would be like, be really careful, be really mindful with the GP conditions, with the GT profiles, be really intentionally about like who do you work with. And if you want to try something new, this is the time in order to do that. So I'm Elena. That was my RR session. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that it was like helpful. I hope that you take some of the insights and you'll start to having like amazing IR meetings. And please make sure that you stay for us our next session that is going to be leading finance and legality. That's super important because we all need money and because these phases are amazing. See you.
Okay. Hello, people. How are you? How are you
Hello,
feeling with
people.
the summit?
You are having fun. We are very excited to be here.
Are you excited to start this session?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. So, people, welcome to the CS Summit, and more specifically for the Leading Finance and Legal session. Yay!
So with this session, you will learn a lot of things. So make sure that you have your notebook near, that you can take some notes, because this is the most incredible session in this summit. Because we already know that we love finance, and you will learn a lot of things through this session. So welcome again.
Okay, people. So, are you ready?
I am.
I am too. So, let me introduce myself. And well, my name is Leonardo Hurtado. You can call me Leo. And I am the GFB team leader of knowledge management for Americas and MIA for this semester. And well, I'm Mexican. Also, I was MCVP finance in Guatemala in last year. That's the reason that I put the two flags in there.
Very cool. Okay, and my name is Yoseli Rivera. I'm from Argentina. And I'm the GFB team leader for knowledge management for Europe and Asia Pacific. But in past, maybe if some people from Argentina is here, I was the MCVP of ISEC in Argentina for 1920, and before that I was MCVP finance, so a lot of years in finance, right? But now let me explain you what is GFB. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, especially if you don't come from a finance area. Maybe you don't know what is GFB. So GFB is a global finance board and is an independent body that works towards ISEC International. And we provide some specific services to the global network, and we do some data collection, auditing, knowledge management, a lot of cool things about finance. So we are very specialist, I think. We really love finance, and we are here to deliver you this incredible session.
Amazing. Thanks, Jesly. And well, so let's start. And well, I have a question to you, and it is, who is worried about the finances of her or his LC? I think it's an important question. I was worried when I was LCVP Finance and LCP in my local committee. I saw I seen in the chat that a lot of people said me, and yeah. And if you are worried about it, it's a good feeling. But this session is to help to you to don't be afraid of finances. You need to understand that finance is a resource that you can manage wisely. So this is the reason of this session. And well, I want to start with the virtual circle of ISEC. Basically, we can find three pillars in our local committees and all in the global network. We had finances, operations, and membership. So as you can see, all of these parts of the virtual circle works together. You have finances, you can invest in your membership to empower them and facilitate that you can focus on their core, but also you can invest in your operations to boost the performance itself. Also, in your membership, if you had a good knowledge, you can do more and better exchanges. So this is one of the good things that you can have if you manage wisely your membership. Also, if your members achieve their goals, they might feel more empowered and take more challenges. So if your member feels good with his or her experience, they can take more experiences in an ISA, could be the next LCVP or next LCP, and also could be a better can do a better performance during their roles. And also, if you have more and better exchanges, you can generate more revenues for your LC. That means more money. Yay, that's amazing. And well, this is some things that you need to keep in mind because as I said, you have three essential pillars in ISEC: finance, membership, and exchanges, and they work together. So if you don't take care for one of them, the other pillars will fail. It could be in a month, in a year, in 2 or 3 years. What that the timeline, the time doesn't matter at all. And you need to take care of these three pillars. So you have sessions related of exchanges and membership. This is the time for finance. So you need to keep in mind that as a CEO, you need to take care of these three pillars. And well, one of the most of things that could afraid or face LCP during this term is take decisions, and more specifically for finance decisions. So if you wants to make a investment or have a cost, uh, you need to have a good mindset about manage money, because if you automatically say no for everything cost because we are in a COVID pandemic, we don't have a lot of money, I'm afraid to have zero in my cash and spend all my money. This is not a good idea or good mindset, but also the opposite. It's also the bad decision that I mean, oh yes, we can spend all of my money, make unnecessary events and activities, and would spend all of the money that we have. These two mindsets are not good at all. So you need to find a balance and how you can make a better finance decisions. It's with data and make analysis. So I want to give you some examples that you can take in consideration during your LCP term. Could be invest in your membership, buy a banner, invest in ads, rewards campaign, exchange delivery, merchandising, or make local events. These proposals will face you during your LCP experience. So as I said absolutely no or automatically yes for all of these things couldn't be the best way to manage finances. So which kind of variables can take to analyze them and have better decisions? For invest in your membership, you can analyze your productivity, the time in your LC that your member has, could be IXP or make an incentive for them. You can analyze these variables. To buy a banner, you can analyze the direct cost of this banner, we, which is the number of events and activities that you will have during your LCP experience. It is feasible to have this cost in this moment, at this moment or not. Invest in ads. I think this is one of the most alternatives that we have in this moment, at this moment. Could be, you can analyze the conversion rates, the number of signups, or your goal in signups, your goal in applicants, approvals, etc. And also for rewards campaign, you can analyze also your productivity versus the type of incentive. If the kind of incentive it's related of the productivity that you want to achieve. Also for exchange delivery, it's important. You can analyze which is your revenues per EP and also your profit per income, the costs that you need to spend in your delivery, which is your product break even. For merchandising, also the cost, the revenues, what is the number of people that can buy this kind of merchandising. For local events, the number of attendees, the cost of all of the logistics, and the objective of these events. So if you spend a time to analyze your variables, you can have a better insights about if some proposal for investment or cost, it's good in the moment that you can have these conversations. And also you can have discuss with your LCBP finance. And for example, at this moment for the pandemic situation, buy a banner could be not a good idea, but invest in ads, yes. But in ideal scenario for 2 terms ago, when the COVID situation wasn't in our lives, buy a banner could be a feasible way to invest, right? So depends in your context, which are your variables, how you can take a better decisions, but you need to take the time to analyze them. And also you need to take care of the follow-up of finance standards. If you had LCBP Finance Academy or you research some ISEC materials for finance, I think these 6 finance standards are familiar to you. This is basically the minimums or the standards that we need to follow as finance. We have accounting, reporting, sustainability, auditing, budgeting, and legality. I don't want to talk too much about these standards because we have a lot of materials from them, but you need to take care about all of these things. For example, for accounting, you need to keep your financial transactions and your accounting systems. The kind of financial audits depends of which is your systems in accounting. For reporting, you need to be transparent with your finance execution. All of the execution of your transactions or finance, you need to report them to your MC, to your local plenary, etc. For sustainability, well, follow up the product's revenues. If these revenues increase, you can increase your sustainability ratios. Also ensure the leadership pipeline, increase your HR sustainability, which is one of the indexes under the sustainability ratios. For auditing, you need to audit all of your operations finances. So we have internal audit procedures for finances, for legalities, and also for operations run by ECBs. So you need to take care of all of these processes. And also for budgeting, well, you need to consider your operations and investments and also for your membership and have a financial planning. This is important because we will talk more about the budgeting in one's slides. So for financial investments, you need to take 2 kinds of investments in the local committees. Invest in your membership and invest in your operations. And it's important to have this mindset about it's good invest in these two pillars because if you don't have a good leadership pipeline, you don't have the correct HR to manage all the operations, as we said in the virtual circle. So don't scare to invest in your membership, but check the TM or PM timeline, align campaigns and establish objectives. And for operations, it's very important to don't say no to operation costs and investments before analyze the proposal. And be, well, because it's very common at this moment, say no for all exchange costs because of the pandemic situation. And it's a valid concern, but say automatically no, it's not a good idea. You need to take the time to analyze the proposals because your operations are your core. So think about it. How do you feel if you are an EP and you don't receive any benefit or service from ISEC? And it's sad to say that, but in my years in ISEC, I saw different comments from detractors or people that then haven't a good experience in ISEC in their exchange, something like that. My exchange was good because the project, but ISEC only took my money and they don't care about me in my experience. And it's sad, but it's a fact. In some cases, as LCs, the LCs don't take care for the operations and don't invest on them, and you need to take care. This is an experience for a person or for your EPs. So don't be afraid for investing your operations. Just take care of them and analyze the proposals. I think this is very important because your operations are your goal, your core, sorry. And also, we want to pass to the budgeting part. So I think this is the most interesting from my side. During your planning, or in this case, you don't only do operational goals or operational strategies. Your financial goals are also important. So as you have a framework to establish your approvals, realizations, complete goals, you have also a budget, and you need to put your financial goals. So which is your goal for revenues, for costs, and also for cash flow. So you need to take care for your financial goal as you are doing for your operational goals. And also, which are some tips that I can share with you about budgeting? The first one is analyze your current state. One of the simple ways that we do the budgeting is only take the past term budget and change some amounts. So these are good if you have the similar situation of the past terms, but we are in a COVID situation. So I think the 90-20 or 80-19 budgets couldn't be the most accurate financial data for you. Could be a resource and it could be useful for you, but if you only copy and paste the some amounts, couldn't be the best way to do your budget. So you need to analyze your current state in operations, in finances, also in the take care of the COVID situation, your main risks that you have. And also you can research on internet or in financial resources about budgeting methods. This is I only list four of the most common ways to do budgeting method. So it could be the incremental, also activity-based, value proposition, zero-based. And also we have some rules for budgeting. Could be the 50, 30, and 20 rule, which is basically the distribution of your cost. Could be the 50% is for your needs or your fixed cost. Could be your entity affiliation fees, or there's some direct cost. Your ones could be your investments for strategies, good to haves, and savings is important because it's your reserves for crisis management, for auditors funds, etc. And also you have other way to do your budget. It's the 18-20 rule. Basically, it's the same, but we mix the one's needs in a spending. So basically, you only split your cost in a spending and reserves. So you have 20% for reserves and 80% for spending. Could be in general. And also there is a simple example. If you have $100, you can see in this example how you can distribute your cost for different rules. Could be the 50, 30, and 20, and or the 18-20. And also for the checklist for budgeting, planning profit, don't planning losses, have conversations with your EV and your MC, take the time to analyze all of your investments, and between 70 to 80% of goal achievement could be good, but depends of your cost and revenues budget amounts. So this is just to take in mind. And let's move forward with finance management with Yoseli.
Okay, thank you, Leo. So now I have some interesting things to talk with you. For finance management, there's a big difference between doing the things right and doing the right things. So when my MCP talked to me about this and he said me to this, in a different way. Click. Okay, so what is the difference? Doing the things right, doing the right things. So doing the things right is the common things, you know, so doing the invoices, the payments, bookkeeping, administration, registration, internal audit, all the things that, of course, your LCBP finance should be doing. um, while doing the right things is analyzing revenues and pricing, budget plan and executions, having a sustainability plan, reviewing the business model and be the guardian of that business model, legalities and local governance, and of course, cash management. So what is the high difference here is that one ensures the common processes. These are the things that for sure your LCBP finance should be doing, but the other part is actually the strategical part. So the other part refers to the high quality of the profile or the JD of your SVP finance. Click. So today, what we are talking about, or what we are more focused, is on the sustainability plan and the cash management, because of course you cannot do everything, or we cannot cover all the topics right now. But for sure, there are some specific things that you can take in consideration. Click. Okay, so let's start with cash management. Here I have for you like 4 examples of how you can take care of the cash management, or how you can do the cash management in case you don't have an LCBP finance, for example. So the first thing is restricted and unrestricted funds. Identify which are these restricted and unrestricted funds. Why? Because maybe you will have some money that you can only use for a specific purpose. For example, the entity affiliation fee. If you know that you have to pay the entity affiliation fee, then don't buy, I don't know, t-shirts for your LC, for example. Taking in consideration the unrestricted, which is the money that you can use for the things that you decide, and the things that the EB wants to invest in strategies, for example. It is usually used for the operational strategies or the entity development, for example, leadership summits or local conferences. Then local and national compendium. Why this is important? Because maybe your compendium already says some rules about how to manage the money, or what is allowed and what is not allowed. But if your national compendium or your local compendium doesn't say anything, maybe it's a good time to set some rules in your LC or even in your national entity, because you are LCPs and now you have a big power and a huge responsibility. So this is more to look the entity and to look the LC in a long run. The third thing is connected with the strategy. So make a review with your LCPP finance about the cash management and taking consideration if the cash is being used to the strategy or not. So why we are using this money in some costs and why not in others. And the fourth part is the finance standards. Why? And because processes can help you to identify good and management practice. So really take in consideration the finance standards, because they are very simple. They can teach you, or they can allow you to identify some good things that are being done in your LC and the bad things also. Click. So now I want to show you what is the difference between profit and net cash. Why? Because we usually make some big mistakes at the moment to do, for example, discounts. So profit is the result of how much revenue, meaning sales, for example, were generating during the period and what costs were incurred to generate the revenue, as known as positive surplus, you know, and we are all looking for this positive surplus. But we have this other concept that is net cash, that is the result of the payments of sources of incomes, positive inflows and outflows. and outflows, and all the expenditures. So that means the negative inflows or outflows, better known as money in the bank or cash in your hands. So it's different than when you do, for example, an approval and you don't take the money from the EP, then with the profit and the net cash. Because if you don't take the money from the EP, you will have the profit, but you will not have the net cash. So in conclusion, click, go back, please. There's another click. Maybe it's low. Go back. I think we are missing one. No? Okay, don't worry. So now what I need from you is that you check your notebook and answer these three questions. So we have 5 minutes to do this. The first question is, what things can affect the profit of your LC? So start thinking when you were LCVP or if you were LCP in previous term also, what are the things that can affect the profit of your LC? Now that you understand what is the difference between net profit, profit and net cash. So I will give you 1 minute to do this. Think, for example, if your LC is accustomed to do some discounts, for example. Think about the pricing, think about the other costs related, for example, Facebook ads. Cool. And now we have the second question, that is, what things can affect the net cash of your LC? So for this question, I need you to think, how is the practice of the collection of the money? Do you make the approvals and then you collect the money? Or do you first collect the money and then you do the approval? Do you lend money to the members of the LCs? You can also ask yourself if you know these things or not. You know how much money all the members needs to pay to your entity. For example, if you give them money for a conference or to do their IXP and you say, hey, you can pay later. What things can affect the net cash of your LC? And the last question is, what finance processes do you see are not clear in your LC? For example, if something is not clear for you as LCP elected, maybe it will not be clear for your LC. So what are the things that are not clear in your LC? For example, all people know what to do when they spend money for ISA. How is the reimbursement process? Or all people know how to do the operational audit. All people in my LC knows about the legalities. What processes are not clear in your end? You can also share, for example, in the comments. So maybe you have some ideas that others don't. For example, in my LC, we weren't used to know the cost structure of each product. So nobody knows how much we expend per trainee in IGB. So are these kind of things clear in your LC? Okay, so now that you have your list, these are the next steps to work with your LCBP finance and also to work in your transition with your LCP card. Click. Oh, here it is. So in other words, don't make so many discounts because then you will affect your profit, and also collect the money of your receivables on time because otherwise you will affect the net cash. Click. And now let's talk about sustainability. So I have some things that I would like to share with you, but because of course you don't know, you don't have to know all the formulas, all the sustainability levels of right use. You don't have to know that. You need to know how to track this. So first, check the results of the months per product and overall LC. Always at the middle of the month and at the end of the month, check how is your product and your LC going in terms of financial results. Are we having the incomes on time? Are we doing more cost than revenues? Number two, check the sustainability levels of all your products. Only the number, only the sustainability level of each product. So you can know how to track um, the cost structure, for example, or the revenues sources. Number three, make sure each corner has a plan to improve the profitability. So if the corner is only working on, for example, conversion rates without knowing about the profitability, then you need to stop them and tell them that they need to have a clear plan on how all their actions are impacting also in a positive way in the financial goal. Number four, make sure that the reports of your BP Finance includes graphics and information related with the payables and receivables. So track this with your LCBP Finance because sometimes we make some, for example, not only discounts, but we allowed our members, for example, to pay later and then we forget. Or for example, we allow them to make the approval of their IXP, but then we don't collect that money. Number five, your LC needs to know the financial current state. Send the reports. Your LC is an accountability body, so you need to do the reporting part to have a sustainable and transparent term. Number six, always count the money and with your BP Finance. You don't know how many LCPs told me that they never count the money, that they never check the bank account because they trust in their BP Finance. So it's not a thing about trusting or not trusting, it's a thing about control. And the last thing is always check the audit results. So and this is very important because in the long run you will see how healthy and how legal and sure you are about the results and about the experience that you are delivering with your LC. Click. For now, if this is too much for you, maybe you can check only these three lines, and the first one, the third one, and the sixth one. And this is the very important that you need to know each month. Next, or click. And now let's talk about being a CEO of my LC, the routine that I must have in order to run my entity. So this is a common fear or worry that we all have as presidents of our entities. I had that feeling when I was MCP. Click. Okay, so it's not a big secret actually. It's the same as with the other departments. So first thing, have a weekly and monthly checklist for all the doing the things right. Check the data slide and you will see what are the things that needs to be done in a certain deadline. For example, audits, count money, invoices, payables, etc. Then strategy meeting with your LCP Finance, really important. Make a analysis with him or with her and set the next steps at least twice a month. And the last thing is monthly review. Yes, it is a team standard, we already know, but it also gives you clarity of the results and what to adjust for the next month with the EB and the LC. So it's not just the thing to prepare a report, but also to check what things were good, were doing good, and what things are not, and we need to improve. Next, or click. Cool. But if you want to have an analysis routine, you can do the budget execution. So check the revenues and costs, percentage of cost in relations to the incomes. You can also check the accounting system this twice a month. Then analysis per product, direct and indirect costs twice a month. As the projections and compare with the past performance, because one thing is to have the plan. We are very optimistic and positive about our plans, but in terms of finance, you need to be realistic and compare which are the projections, which is the past tendency in terms of financial results. And the last thing is check the variance of the assets and liabilities month by month, meaning that if this time I had this amount of cash, this amount of receivables, how much was the variance on the next month? How much did our debts increase or decrease, for example, in which percentage? Click. So now let's work again. I need you to take your notebook and to draw this line like it's a timeline, and make this timeline and write all the things that you already know that needs to happen in a normal month. Because entity by entity, it changed a lot if you are from ISEC in Mexico, if you are from ISEC in Ecuador, from ISEC in Brazil, Argentina. There are certain specific things that needs to be done month by month. What are those things? And the second thing is add the things that now you know you should do. What are those things that in a month you should do now that you already know what are all the things that you have to try. So I will give you some minutes. Cool. So take this timeline as a homework. Maybe when you are doing your transition with your with your LCP current, ask ask him or her, hey, how you track the finances, and which deadlines should I take in consideration. Also ask the current VP finance, what are the deadlines that you need to take care, what are the main things that you need to track, and also add all the things that now you know you should be doing or you should be tracking. Click. Yeah, as I said, track your VP finance. Don't assume you don't know anything about finance, because it's like the other departments. You know, we have metrics and we have routines, we have things that we have to deliver. So it's really, actually, it's really easy and this can save the sustainability of your health. Click. And now, well, I know that maybe at this time you are like dying, so there
Yes,
you can.
I think so. There is a lot of information about finances, cash flow, budget, finance standards, accounting systems, a lot of things. But I think you can keep in mind this long story short. Basically, these are the things that you need to keep in mind with your managed finances or lead your LCBP finance. Track the implementation of finance standards. This process allows the virtual circle of ISEC. Connect budget processes with the operational performance. So give these two plannings and executions at the same level. Don't be afraid to manage money. So invest smart. Don't be afraid to take decisions, but take smart decisions. Check your cash flow. Net cash and profit are not the same thing. So just keep in mind these differences and have a clear routine with a checklist and deadlines. Basically, with finance, the routine it's a key to have a very good implementation.
Awesome. And yeah, the last message that we want to tell you is it's not about having a lot of money, it's knowing how to manage it. So it's not because you want it or because you have money that you are good. It's about how you manage it and how it serves to you to make an efficient results for your else. Quick. Yeah, that's it. Contact us. Those are our numbers, Instagrams. You can follow
Follow
us.
us on Instagram.
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you so much for attending this session. We hope the session will be very useful for you. And if you have any question for finance, ask to your LCBP Finance, your MCs. Also, you can contact us to have more knowledge for finance.
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you so much for attending this call. And the next session is in Zoom, but I think you have a break. And well, thank you so much.
But people, thank you very much.